If you remember back about a month and a half ago, we took the Shrimp Rigger and the Cheetah out for a quick little run, and we actually lost a shaft in this, and we lost a shaft in the Cheetah. It was, from fun to frustrating in 90 seconds, I think is the thumbnail of that video. Now, if you've been watching for any number of time, I had special ordered this motor about a year ago. And I think I only ran it in the Shrimp maybe 3 times. And I've since went ahead and took it out. Due to the high cost of this motor and this motor here, I don't want to ruin this. I wasn't getting, let's say, the results that I was expecting out of this. It is different. It's a lower KV. It's around 3,500. But I wanted to run something that was unique, that was different, and that's what this is. Now, I can't show it on camera because I just realized it as to why I'm turning it on now and talking about it. But I wasn't getting the numbers out of this motor. And if you remember back to my original TP motor, how it had started to push the rear end bell of the motor out, this one did the exact same thing. When I opened it up and I pulled it out of the boat 20 minutes ago, and I spun it, I said, wow, that's not spinning as free as it used to. So okay, let me oil the bearings. So you can see I put some oil on that one. I put some oil on the back one. I was like, okay, maybe moisture. And I always set it on top of my vent to allow air to blow through it when I'm done running my boats, to try to just dry them out. You know what I'm saying? Just air movement. Well, that wasn't the case. It had actually pushed this little corner section of the rear end bell of the motor up and out. You could see a purple lip on this side and no lip on this side. So literally all I did was take this hammer here with this little flat end, and I tapped it on that end right there and boop, popped it back in, and now she spins free and smooth again. So good thing I took it out and just didn't say screw it and kept running it. So now that I know that this is a common issue, we have had it happen to 2 motors now. I'm going to use those thrust bearings, those 3-piece with the ball in the center. Let me see, I think I actually have them out. These things right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put them on my new setup, and that's the way we're going to run it. I think these are for 4 millimeters. And I believe if we look at the TP motor, it steps down from the 4 mil to, I don't know what that is. I can't really remember. 3/8 or something like that. Or I don't know. But it's just so many minute sizes I just can't remember. But I've also got this motor here that I really want to run. But I'm thinking about building a completely separate Shrimp Rigger for this motor. And I have a setup in mind. I just don't want to say it out loud because it's going to be my little secret. If this thing works, it's going to really work. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to fabricate it, and we're going to try to run the Tenshock motor. I've had this motor sitting for about 6 months. This is kind of like a heavy duty, small 29 millimeter Tenshock motor. If we look here, it's a 3450 kV and it's a 1540. So, I'm going to see if the bolt holes line up. If the bolt holes line up here with the bolt holes that are in my little carbon fiber motor mount there, then we are going to try to run this motor. I went ahead and pulled the Kraken 120 out. This has actually been a really good, solid ESC. I've had terrible luck with the 180s, and I just don't know why. It's very, very, very frustrating. But this has been one solid ESC. I had to take it all apart at one point, and you can see I've got dielectric grease underneath it before I re-siliconed it or reheat shrinked it, and I think I had to replace this one wire. But yeah. So I just wanted to throw this at you at the front to let you know what was going on. Now, a second thing, if you remember, when the shaft broke, I said, cool, we didn't lose the shaft because the shaft stayed in the back of the strut. Like, when the hell does that ever happen? You know what I mean? I don't want to get my hands greasy. But check this out. So let's just do this for comparison, right? Let's just say that right there, let's go to this point here. So that's like way too close to the motor, right? So let's say that is where it bottoms out in the collet. Now, I re-glued this shaft, right? Look at how much is sticking out now. Look at that. That's an inch. So what I'm assuming happened was it broke the shaft and inside of this shaft. And when I tried to glue it in, it wouldn't go as deep. So I have this weird, strange feeling because now when I literally tried to put it back on with the Lehner motor, and I've got this weird, strange feeling that if I try to run this shaft, it's going to break. So I'm going to run the shaft. I'm going to run this prop because I don't really care about it. Or I may throw on another janky prop that I've got. But that shit, look how close it is to the motor mount. Like, it's so close to the motor mount. Remember, you've got to have the motor and the collet and all that. So you're about there. Boom. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yep, absolutely batshit crazy. Because see, like right there, that's where it's riding on the back bearing. And you can see, like, that's not supposed to be riding on the front bearing. That's supposed to be riding on the back bearing about back here. You know, it's supposed to be boom and then about like yay. That's typically what I run it at. But I don't know. I'm going to do a little finagling and I'll show you what my end result is. Well, it's been about 3 weeks since the last clip you just saw, and I've been working on my shrimp rigger, and I wanted to share the canopy with you. I think it's really cool, and I'm fascinated by it. Just wanted to show it to you before we dive in and show you what I've changed on the rigger. So here is the new hatch, and I'll put it on the hatch. I don't want to show you what's in it just yet, but there's the hatch. The idea behind such a big, bulky hatch, if you look, I don't have much sticking up, so I don't really have to worry about that. But I opened up the front of the boat to where it's easier to get batteries in. Like right there is where it normally stopped. I'd cut that out to where now we can slip the 4S pack in there just a little bit easier. And then when I did that, then I had to have another little piece here in order to fill it. So I was like, let's go ahead and make a new hatch. And that's what I did. I made the regular hatch, and then I started to get a little, like, artsy with it and did those little, you know, lines coming off the back. I think it looks cool, you know. It may create a little air pocket, but who knows? Who cares? It's going to look dope when it's all done. But I got to go ahead now, and I've got to coat this with epoxy. I've got some thin laminating epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and coat it. And then we'll sand it down, and I'll probably paint it. I don't know what color I'll paint it, but I think I'll paint it. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so check this out. I decided to do a little something cool. I put some color in the epoxy. This is the epoxy I'm using. I mixed up a really small amount. I mixed up like 5.5 grams of it. Ended up being, I don't know, around 9 grams, and then we added 1.5 grams of denatured alcohol to thin it, and then I literally just took like a dropper and put a drop of the red in there, and it mixed pretty good. So what I did, I coated it first, and I let it sit for about 30 minutes. And as this like leftover residual was kind of like getting gummier, I mixed in the paint, and then I dripped the paint in that to where it kind of gives it like the afterburner effect. You know what I mean? So, just thought it was cool. Thought I'd share it. Making something, you know, my own. Something unique. I've never added color to epoxy, so it was worth seeing how it'll turn out. Alright, now we're back inside. I've got a couple projects I want to share with y'all, but I'm not going to do it in this video, so we're going to stay pretty focused right here because right off screen over here is 2 really nice projects. Those videos will come out tomorrow for you. We're just going to kind of go over the 2 products that I have, and I'm going to share with you a story, and that'll come. So you're not going to want to miss the video tomorrow, which will be reviewing 2 more or less brand new products. But so I wanted to show you here. So this is what's cool. I went ahead and took out the Lehner motor, right? So we've got a Tenshock, a 29mm Tenshock motor in there. Now, the biggest struggle with these little shrimp riggers has always been trying to cram the wires in there. You know, when you start talking about high performance motors, like this TP motor here, which is gonna go in a shrimp rigger in the near future. So here is how I came up with an idea. So this is the Kraken 120 ESC, right? Notice that it doesn't have the wires. So this is a Kraken 150. And all of the Kraken ESCs have these wires that come off of them. Well, when you do that, you've got all this wire inside of here. These got to go this way, and then these got to go this way, and it's just a mess, right? So what I did on the 120 inside of here yesterday, I took my razor blade and I literally cut right in front of these. And I desoldered the 3 wires, and I cleaned all of the solder off of the joints to where I didn't have any, you know, bulging solder joints or anything like that. And I was very, very meticulous about it. But I want to see if I can get it in here zoomed enough to where you can see it. But you see what I did there? I took 4mm bullet connectors and I put them down in there and I soldered them to the board. See what I'm saying? I think it's going to work great, because what it did, it shortened up my motor leads, and I just literally bend them down and plug them right in. I think it's going to be fantastic. I love the idea, you know. It gets the front of the ESC goes right there. I know I got a little slight kink in the water line. I don't think it's really a kink. I think it will flow. But it'll just be something that we always have to, you know, monitor and watch to make sure that we get good quality coolant flow. One thing that I was kind of bummed about, I couldn't use my nice cooling jacket. The Tenshock motor is just a little bit too small OD for this to make a good seal. I'm going to say it's probably like 28.5mm. But I opted to go to a different collet. Well, kind of because I had to. I think this is a 4mm shaft to 150 cable, and that was literally the only 4mm by 1.5 or 0.150 cable that I had. So that's the collet that we're going to use. Hopefully it works. We'll see. But yeah, the Tenshock motor's roughly 3,500 kV, so it's definitely a 4S capable motor. Probably a lot better than the 4,200 TP motor that I had in there previously. But that was strictly for speed runs. I got the Lehner motor and this Tenshock motor in the 3,500 kV range just as like a test to see how good these motors compare to the TP motors. Like, they are twice as expensive, okay? Twice as expensive as a TP motor. But I didn't want to like buy one and not like it in a big can size, you know what I'm saying? So the way that this Tenshock motor is, it is literally designed exactly the same way as their heavy duty motors. So it's got that big like lug of silver in the front of it. It looks identical to my HD motor. It does not look like my 38mm motor that I blew up. So hopefully these are pretty good. I've already tested it one time. It spins in the right direction, so we're good there. I did have to shorten the shaft, the flex cable. I had to shorten it 4.5mm. That's the gap that I'm choosing to run on it right now. It is maxed out in the collet, so it's not going to go forward anymore. I'm going to keep an eye on the end bell. Since it did pop the end bell off on the Lehner motor too, it cocked it to the side. I'm going to see if this motor does any different. If I notice an issue, then we're going to trim a little bit more off of the flex cable, and then we're going to put one of those tiny little washer things. We'll either put it here, what do you call them, thrust bearings. We'll put a thrust bearing here, or we'll have to, I don't know, we can't even put it up there because that motor mount is going to be interfering with how big that collet is. So we can't put the thrust bearing there. The only place it would fit would be here. So not sure if that's feasible. But if this motor doesn't push the back end bell off, then we ain't got nothing to worry about. But just wanted to share it with you. I know it's been a while. I've been kind of waiting for Big B to post his, his shrimp rigger, and I'm excited to see that he's trying a lower KV and he's going to go up in to 5S. I think that's incredible. I have my other shrimp rigger kit, right there sitting on the shelf. So whenever I get time enough to do it, we'll do it. But life's kind of busy. Life's kind of hectic. And I'm really excited to share with you in tomorrow's video what I have planned. And I've been waiting a year to do it. So I really hope it turns out good. And hopefully I'm accepted. We'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Hope I've left you with a little bit of a cliffhanger for tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all later. Peace. Oh, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about what I did to that ESC. See y'all later.